Terrorists have launched another wave of attacks on communities in Kebbi and Sokoto, with 10 residents reported kidnapped. These attacks are part of the ongoing violence that has been devastating the region for years. The attackers are believed to be part of organized groups, heavily armed and operating with ease in the area. These armed groups are not just robbing people of their property, but kidnapping them for ransom, leaving families devastated and communities in fear. If you're watching this, share this video and subscribe so we can keep you informed on these ongoing issues. We need to raise awareness and push for action. What's alarming is that this violence is not isolated. It's happening regularly across northern Nigeria. These groups use motorbikes to quickly raid villages, stealing cattle, burning homes, and abducting residents. The government has promised to take action, but the situation on the ground is far from improving. These groups seem to be more organized and increasingly difficult to contain, with each attack leaving more people displaced and traumatized. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated on the latest developments. This is an issue that affects all of us, and the more people who know about it, the stronger the voice for change. The residents of Kebbi and Sokoto are bearing the brunt of this violence. For them, it's not just a matter of living in fear, but also of coping with the economic and emotional toll. Families are being torn apart as their loved ones are taken, and the burden of paying ransom or facing loss is a reality many are living with. Local authorities, despite their efforts, seem to be overwhelmed, with the resources stretched thin. The military and police have been deployed, but the area remains vulnerable and the attacks continue unabated. The residents in these areas are isolated, and the security infrastructure is simply not enough to protect them. The lack of coordination between various security agencies and the failure to address the root causes of these attacks, like poverty and lack of opportunity, are contributing factors. It's clear that more needs to be done to address the underlying issues and prevent further escalation. This attack on Kebbi and Sokoto is just the latest in a series of violent incidents that have plagued the northern part of Nigeria. These attacks have disrupted everyday life, and in many cases, entire communities have been forced to abandon their homes. The fear of being attacked or kidnapped has become part of the daily reality for people living in these areas. The larger implications of these attacks go beyond just the immediate loss and fear. They threaten the stability of the entire region. The constant threat of violence makes it difficult for people to go about their daily business. It disrupts trade, agriculture, and social life, putting a strain on the local economy. People can't travel safely and businesses are unable to operate normally. This has a ripple effect that extends beyond the affected communities and impacts the whole country. The government's response so far has been inadequate in curbing the violence. The ongoing attacks highlight the need for better coordination, stronger local security, and more investment in the region. But more than just the security forces, local communities need support. They need to feel safe again, and they need solutions to the problem of banditry and terrorism that has plagued the region for years. At this point, the people in Kebbi and Sokoto are calling for more than just promises. They are calling for action. They need a government that is proactive and capable of delivering results. The people of these regions deserve to feel safe in their own homes, to send their children to school without fear, and to live without the constant threat of kidnapping or violence. The impact of these ongoing attacks extends far beyond the immediate physical danger. It's not just the lives lost or the kidnappings that make these incidents so devastating. The constant insecurity is slowly eroding the very fabric of life for communities in Kebbi and Sokoto. Farmers are afraid to tend to their fields, people are afraid to travel, and entire villages are living in a state of perpetual fear. What we are seeing now is not just sporadic attacks, it's an ongoing escalating campaign of terror that affects every aspect of daily life. People are losing their livelihoods, and the most vulnerable, children, women, the elderly, are being hit the hardest. The very things that make these communities thrive, such as agriculture and local trade, are now at risk. The economy is grinding to a halt, and families are left with little to survive on. As the violence continues, it's clear that the government's current approach is not enough. Military deployment has been stepped up, but it's still not enough to fully protect the citizens in these regions. What makes this crisis even worse is that the government has been slow to act and provide adequate resources for local security. The military and police forces on the ground are doing their best, but they are severely outnumbered and under-resourced. Local vigilante groups are stepping in to fill the gaps, but they don't have the training, equipment, or support they need to make a real difference. Moreover, the lack of a coordinated strategy between local and national security agencies has made it difficult to track and counter the attackers. The armed groups are mobile, moving between states and villages with ease, making it almost impossible for the security forces to keep up. The sophistication of the attacks, targeting remote villages, taking hostages, and fleeing with little trace, shows that these groups are not just criminals. They are well-organized networks with significant resources. Now, we must also address the broader implications of this violence. The people of Kebbi and Sokoto are not just fighting against armed groups, they are fighting for their very survival. But the government needs to understand that this is not just a regional problem, it's a national crisis. What happens in Kebbi and Sokoto today could spread to other regions tomorrow if left unchecked. The longer this violence persists, the more instability we will see throughout the country. It's crucial that the government takes swift action to restore security, rebuild trust, and offer a clear plan for the future. As for the residents of these communities, there is an overwhelming sense of isolation. They are forced to rely on each other for protection, as state forces seem to be too far removed from the immediate danger. This isolation breeds fear and helplessness, and it's clear that the people feel abandoned by the government. The challenges they face are not just about defense from attacks. It's about the fear of losing their homes, their families, and their livelihoods. We also need to talk about the emotional toll this conflict is having. The trauma that comes with living through such violence is far-reaching. Survivors of kidnappings are left with long-lasting scars, and many families are left in despair as they watch their loved ones suffer. The psychological impact of these attacks is something that is often overlooked, but it can be just as damaging as the physical harm done. What can we do as a society? We need to raise our voices and demand better from the government. This isn't just about Kebbi and Sokoto anymore. This is about the safety and security of every Nigerian citizen. This is about holding those in power accountable and ensuring that the people of Nigeria can live without fear. The government must step up to the plate and make sure that these attacks are not just addressed on paper, but with real action on the ground. The people of Kebbi and Sokoto have already suffered so much, but the way forward is not hopeless. There are opportunities for rebuilding, for strengthening the community, for restoring trust between citizens and the state. But it's going to require a concerted effort from all sides. Communities, local leaders, the federal government, and the international community must come together and act decisively. The solution isn't simple, but it starts with a commitment to security, to providing resources for the local authorities, and to engaging with the community to find long-term solutions. There's also a need to address the root causes of these attacks, such as poverty, lack of education, and unemployment, which can push people into the arms of these armed groups. We must tackle these issues head-on if we are ever to end the cycle of violence that is destroying lives and communities in the north. We cannot afford to ignore the suffering of our fellow citizens. The situation in Kebbi and Sokoto demands our attention, and we must support efforts to bring peace and stability back to these regions. We cannot turn a blind eye, as this violence is not just an issue for those directly affected. It is an issue for all of us. So if you want to stay informed and continue raising awareness about this issue, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more updates.